Okay, here's one tote I'm preparing. And I painted it black, as you can see, but up here didn't stick. So that was a waste of paint. See how this is coming off? So I gotta take some sandpaper to this part and then paint this a little bit more, so it's got something to stick to. You get lazy when you do things, you know. Now I had some algae in it, and so I put about 2 5-gallon pails of water in there. So I got about 10 gallons of water in there, 2 5-gallon pails, and 1 cup of bleach. And I'm using a broom. I'm not sure how well this is going to come out, but I'm just scrubbing it really good. Now, I'll put the lid back on. Now, I'll put the lid on it, roll it a few times to get it nice and clean with a cup of bleach. Now, my lever here at the bottom is kind of sticky, so I've been trying to loosen that up. Not super important. So I'll take some sandpaper to the top there, roughen that up, paint that black again. I noticed the bottom needs some paint, so that should get it to the point. Drill a hole in the top, add my air. I'll show you that. And then I should be good. I got part of my cage painted there. So it takes time to prepare these. Now you gotta understand, these have been sitting around for 12 years. Now, you want them painted to prevent algae from building up, or else you're gonna have to go through this process. I'm gonna buy some covers that are like $35 that's gonna go over top too. That'll prevent the algae. And the inside of that tote, you want it as clean as possible. Okay, to get this thing in here, and it's got a rubber seal on the other side, you put a tape measure in here, and then the tape measure comes out here. This, the tape measure will fit in, and you run it down the tape measure and pull it through the hole. That's the tricky part. And you remember when I made these in the video? I have 6 of these made. Well, this goes on here. God, it's hot out here. It does not have to be glued. Understand that. That is only to allow air to get in and air to get out. And because of this system, no insects get in here. So that's perfect now. This is one tote complete. And if I say so, it's really good. This is the tote that the water is going to drain into, is what it's going to do. So that's a completed tote. I love it when a plan comes together. I'm telling you, the only way to get this in here is with a tape measure. Through there, out there, let it run down the tape measure and pull it out. You're not, unless you got like super long arms. That's it. You know, I came out here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just soaking wet from how hot it is. I think it's like 7 now to clean that tote and prep it. Now, in my last video, Joe said he's going to make one that he just dumps the water in and he's going to use it to water his chickens. Let me explain something. You can't just dump the water in a tote. You're creating a mosquito heaven. Mosquitoes love stagnant water. The water you have in that tote is going to go stagnant. And if there's any place that a mosquito can get into, it's going to lay eggs. You're not going to be able to sit outside, and you're going to have a billion mosquitoes. You're going to make a perfect breeding place. If anything, if you're planning on using one tote on a much safer system, then you want to put that screen in I just showed you, so it doesn't let bugs in. Now you're also probably going to have to drill a hole in the side, and you're using the same attachment, but you're using a 2-inch one. I'll link it in the bottom to show you what I'm talking about. And then you'll have your overflow, is what you're going to have. So then your pipe goes in through the lid, and I would put another one there. So that way you got a completely sealed system to where the water can leave, the water comes in, and you're not creating a breeding ground, is what you're doing. But you're going to need one of those with the screen, unless you want to try and make your own. And then you're going to need, I would say, go on the side for the overflow. And then you're going to need one for the lid, where you can pop the center lid out and run a 2-inch pipe into it, and you can screw it all together like I just did with that. Those are about 10 for 2. So, I don't know, maybe about 40-50 bucks to prep your tote to do one tote. Now, I painted it. You don't have to paint it. You can wrap it in plastic. You can put a cover on it. I plan to put a cover on that later, as money permits. Because the cover I'm looking at is about $35, and I got to buy 6 of them. It is very, very important you paint it. Okay, that green algae will take over that tote like no tomorrow. You don't want that. You want to prep that tote, make sure it's clean, paint it black, put a cover on it. And you know, I don't care if you paint it, I don't care if you wrap it in plastic, sooner or later everything wears. And that's just the way it is. You're trying to prevent the light from getting in, the UV, which in turn creates algae. And when that happens, well, now you gotta take the whole thing apart, and that's why that thing only screws on top. And now you gotta get in there with a broom, some bleach, and you gotta wash it out and get rid of the algae. You only gotta do that once, and I promise you'll start prepping your tote properly. Don't just dump the water in and think, okay. Now some people dump the water in, have a screen on top where the lid is, and then they'll leave the lid off. Now that'll work. But, I don't know. When I start working on something, I like it to look pretty. At any rate, you see what those things were for now, how it's coming together, and one more piece done. Now I got to do 2 more totes where the paints will come off, as you can see. I got to pull them out, I got to clean them. They'll take about 2 cans of paint is what they'll take, and get them finished. And then we'll have 3 totes ready to go. And I'll put a screen like I just did in this one in those 2. Air has to get in. There's 2 things in that tote, air and water. Air goes up, air goes down. Water goes up, water comes down. That is very important, or you'll suck that tote right in, is what will happen. Whew, man, this is work when it's hot like this. Catch you guys on the next one.